Listen, I really, I really, really appreciate you guys being here. Especially the students. I know that all of you are done, right? So it's great to have you here. Thank you so much. And I appreciate everyone being here because I wanted just to a confession that part of this is just my own therapy to process because I needed to say something of what I've witnessed. And I don't want to forget, there's too many stories. So this is the first 75 days when I wrote the PowerPoint, even though it's a little longer right now. I have been to Puerto Rico 3 times. I went to Puerto Rico October 11th, which was 21 days after Maria landfall. And then I went back on November 17th, which was 58 days. And then I went back on November 30th, which was 71 days. So the landfall was September 20th. The entire island, this is our worst disaster in over 90 years. And it actually crossed the entire island. So you may remember from the news the size of the storm. So there wasn't a single town that wasn't affected. It was pretty brutal. It still is. But when I started planning the trips, it was overwhelming to figure out what to do because everyone is in need and it's very devastating. So my first trip, I concentrated on the town of Añasco, which is where I was born and raised, the town of Mayagüez, which is where my sisters live, the town of Isabela, where I have childhood friends and one of my goddaughters. I have 5 goddaughters in the island, so they live between Añasco, Mayagüez, and Isabela. So I selected those towns. And then a town of Corozal, because I've heard in the news that it was really, really devastated. And my ex-mother-in-law lives still there, and she lost her home. So those were the first towns. The second trip, I concentrated in Isabela, Lares, and Añasco. Lares is a town that you'll see the pictures. I don't even need to tell you. I don't want to describe it. You can see the pictures of Lares. And then in my last trip, I actually went with a church, and we selected Orocovis because it's a town that no one's going to. These center towns are beyond devastated still. And Humacao, which is where the storm actually entered, and my pastor from the church I'm visiting right now, her family's from there. So these are the towns that you'll see pictures today. Every picture you'll see I've taken myself. So this is not something I've heard. I actually witnessed. And for those of you who don't know Puerto Rico really well, Puerto Rico has a center area which we call la Cordillera Central. And these are really high mountains compared to the other towns. This over here is the rainforest that everyone knows about, El Yunque rainforest. But the center of the island has places even higher altitudes than El Yunque. And these are the towns that right now people are still in major suffering, some of these towns. I want to start with what people usually use at the last slide, which is the thank you slides. And I want to start with the thank you slides because none of this would have been possible without the support that I've gotten from so many people. Overwhelming, the amount of people that have gone out of their way. At first, it was really, I was going to cry right there. The first 5 days when I couldn't hear at all, I had 0 news from my sisters. I am telling you, literally, I cried myself to sleep. I would just start crying, and then I don't even know what was my last thought. I just remember waking up. And I immediately went and said, I'm going to join the Red Cross, and I'm going to join FEMA, and I'm going to join all these things. And all of them have like this application process, like Red Cross says, like, oh, we'll be within 30 days, we're going to get a background check on you. And I'm like, no, I can't have 30 days for a background check. I need to go to Puerto Rico now. So maybe 3 days later of trying to join all possible organizations, I said, I'm just going to do a GoFundMe. I'm just going to. And I'm going to show you within a week I had over $5,000. And I was so moved. The donations kept coming, and I just kept crying. A lot of people, NYCPM was very supportive. I'm going to highlight Joel because Joel was the first person who actually replied to my request email. But I'm going to talk about some people here. And then for the third trip, I decided, because I couldn't continue to do the fundraising on my own, so I joined my church, and the church, they raised $20,000 in 2 weeks. They're like, like they have a much larger network. And then the people that I met there. So I'm going to start with my family here, and there are people that actually donated financially, and I appreciate so much Dr. Barliso, Judy Freeman, Lisa Lee, Dr. Rezek, Dr. Swartz, and Dr. Wade. Lisa, you came in at the perfect time, as I'm highlighting Lisa as one of the donors. And I really, really value immediately. They went into the GoFundMe. They gave me money, which I really, it really meant a lot. It wasn't even the amount. It was just the fact. And then I had like people that were there with me doing the work. Felicia and Erica, I feel bad for them. They ended up having to do a lot of the packing, a lot of the arrangement. I got to highlight John because I order everything I've taken to Puerto Rico through Amazon Prime, and John has been like so diligent. And so even one day, I was like I said, John, but I have one pack that is really important. I have like water disinfectant pills. And I was leaving Puerto Rico, and the package arrived, and he went an extra trip. Just don't go. The water, so he's been amazing. Ellen was, and is just really from the beginning, checking on me, emailing, writing an article, really just giving me a support. My amazing Blessing work study student, Nick, Blessing Game, who's really been a tremendous support. And I want to highlight the class of 2021 because I think my whole life I've never, actually I don't think, I know for a fact in my entire life I have never answered the phone during lecture. Lecture for me is sacred. And I have been waiting to hear from my goddaughters, and I got the phone call in the middle of lecture. And the class of 2021, they have been super supportive. And I had to travel before exams, so usually I'm very available during exams, and there was no internet and no phone, and so they really didn't complain. They were just an amazing class. This is a 40-second little thing. I hope it works. I want to show you one of the highlights before the first trip. What do I do? I do nothing. I'm just going to say okay, and I'm going to play it. Hopefully. This is a 40-second video, but it was, oh no, don't do that to me. Don't be bad. Okay, how do I do the sound? Mute. Here? Wait. It's a fun video, and I want you to. I cannot hear.
Yeah, I be fighting over. I want the green one. I want the red one.
These are the donations. We have little flashlights.
Yes.
Yeah. Toothbrushes, soaps, toothpaste, tampons. I know I had a mental block when I was filming. What is in here? Oh, deodorants.
I'm sorry.
Off. Candy. Tylenol, Advil, and these are the packages everyone will be getting. And I gotta tell you, it was a bit of a highlight. I gotta say, Felicia, Eric, and I stayed late one night, and we just the first trip we just went online. I went online, and I'm like, what is needed? And the shelters were like in desperate needs for. So I basically went and ordered everything from the donations. Thank you. That was in the list that I could take to Puerto Rico, because there are some things that were too large, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to bring diapers, But we brought those packages, and those packages. Before I go there, I want to highlight the donors from GoFundMe, which really paid for all this stuff, and there are some what I'm calling platinum donors, which really went like way out of their way in terms of donations. Jennifer Kierman, Michael and Robert Wolf, Michael Dan, Robert Wolf, Tanya Dragic, and Dorothy Lewis. Garrett, I am off social media, so I don't have Facebook, I don't have Instagram. And Garrett simply said, no, you give me all the information, and I am actually going to send it out. There are a couple names here in yellow, Richmond Kilpatrick and Laurel Hyde. They are students of mine from 1993 and 1994. And these people I haven't talked to in years. And Garrett got in touch with them. There are a number of people in this list that I've never met. not only did they donate, they actually went into their own social media and people were donating. So it was really a overwhelming amount of love that I received there. And a lot of people here that I know for many years, some people that I just met, everyone actually went in, and I get, as I told you, over $5,000 in a 1 week period. So it's a really touching experience. And then for the last trip, I worked with the collegiate churches, specifically for Washington Collegiate Church, Pastor Damaris Whitaker, and then the Middle Collegiate Church, Jacqueline Lewis. They have been incredibly supportive. And in the last trip, we actually went in a group, Pastor Whitaker and this gentleman over here, whose name is Michael, Edna, and Jenny. They went with me to Puerto Rico on the third trip, and it was great just to see how much we could reach in a larger group. So when I went to Puerto Rico, I met, these are people I never met in my life, and they're like my best friends now. Like, we text every day. These are like unbelievable people. Laura Risax is from the Redo Fundaciones. This woman, I'll tell you, there was one moment that we met a family that needed a car seat, and she just went to her car and simply took her own car seat and brought the coloring books from her own children and donated them on the spot. So that's the type of people I met. Porfirio and Johanna Rojas are these two people here, a community activists in Orocovis. They're from the Catholic Church. Another thing that is happening, Christians, non-Christians, Catholics, born-agains, everyone is working together. Like people that you would not imagine. You would not imagine the Pentecostals and the Catholics having things are happening that I've never seen before. Amarilis Pagan is running this project called Matria. She has been a major pioneer. Joel Isaac Diaz and Jasmine Rivera are from Humacao, and they've done a lot of work there. And I'm leaving for last my new superhero. I call her Wonder Woman, Mariela Cruz. This woman, before I landed, I'm like, oh, I have some packages for children. She had already arranged a trip for me. There were 7 cars. There were 2 4x4s. She has gone to almost every town. Every weekend, she's doing donations. She's going to the Children's Hospital, Cancer Children's Hospital on Saturday. She is, if anyone has any interest on donating or working with anyone or sending anything, this is Superwoman. That's her husband, Josian Feliciano, and they have a foundation called Sarita. But they are incredible people. And a number of other people I met when I was down there. People doing amazing work. People that you meet and you're like, oh my God, are you for real? Like, is this happening? So we prepare, and the packages that I showed you earlier that Felicia and Erica helped me do. And then I took a whole bunch of cash to buy groceries in San Juan. So the first trip, we just went to the supermarkets in San Juan, and we just bought water and groceries that did not need refrigeration, clearly, because there's no electricity. And like water, there was like a limit. You could only get 2 gallons. So me and my sister were like making the line and coming back to the car, and making the line so we could bring at least for 12 families. So the first trip, we actually ended up bringing groceries for 12 families. In the second trip, the church have given me a budget, which I've never shopped in a budget, but I was very proud of myself. I got this for $11.83. So we were able to buy 30 of those, spend less than, my budget was $400 and I was under. But if you look for $11.83, you can feed a family of 4 for 2 days, right? So you have rice and beans and soups, and there's canned chicken, and there's like milk. So you have a lot of nutritious and culturally appropriate, right? Because we eat rice and beans every day. So, so when you think, oh, I cannot help out, $11.83 makes a difference. You can feed a family for 2 days with $11.83. So just don't ever think your donations, they can go really far. So this is an example. Then we concentrated on children. So we had packages because there's so much pain and depression. So we bought like coloring books and toys and candies and so on. And then the children from the churches in New York wrote personal letters to the children in Puerto Rico, which was so amazing. And the kids, they received it. It was really unbelievable. So these are some of the boxes I took in this is my second trip, right? And then the third trip, we went all the way with like real expensive stuff, like things like we bought solar lamps and solar chargers and water filters. And so this trip, because it was more of us going and the budget came larger, so we were able to get, as you see here, some of more power for supplies, if you would, right? So then I'm going to show you a little bit about what I saw when I was there. This is landing, and what I want you to see, every blue top is a house that lost the roof, right? So these are temporary tarps that are being distributed in the island, but it gives you an idea of how many homes, even though the homes stay, the roofs are gone, right? So this gives you a general idea. This is right next to my sister's house. We were trying to find a place to eat. This is El Barrio Guanajibo in the town of Mayagüez. It just simply formed a hole and swallowed everything in the middle there. So this is the town of Orocovis, which is one of those towns in the center, and it gives you an idea of the devastation everywhere. One of the most beautiful things I've seen, though, 3 times, and vegetation, nature is amazing. I saw oranges growing. Plantains are growing again. And it's only like 75 days, and nature is recovering, a lot faster than the human portion is. This is the town of Lares. This is the car that I was in. This is our actual delivery. And if you see, my sister was like mortified that I was driving on this road. This is about to collapse any time, right? But what happens is that no one is crossing, right? So no one wants to take the chance of going across. So the people on this side, they have not gotten, first of all, the Army and National Guard, they cannot. They come in big trucks that cannot go through this. FEMA has a lot of very large vehicles also that cannot across. The local government cannot send trash pickup because the truck cannot go through here. These people have not had the trash picked up in 75 days, right? So we figure we needed to actually reach out these communities that are being forgotten. This is the road we took. And I got to tell you, I've taken a lot of scary drives in my life, but I was freaking out, especially in this portion over here, because the road, so little of it is left, and it's so unstable. But we found 13 families that have not received anything on the other side of this drive, right? So families that are just there, families that were trapped for weeks. They had 0 communication, and they're still getting very, very little. You get an idea of the devastation in the town and the roads. This is the way people are living, right? So they're still living in here. This is the roof. So you see the way to get into it. And the road is gone. This is actually created by helpers that are wanting to go across. These are some of the organizations that I've met that are doing this unbelievable work. So this is the actual road. It should be here. And you're driving basically on the side of the mountain. This is my favorite beach in Puerto Rico. This is one of my favorite places in the world. It's the Crash Boat Beach, a very popular beach in the town of Aguadilla. So this is before Maria. Those of you that have been to my office, they have a poster of this beach there. This is the way it looks now. And not only is it completely devastated and gone, all of this area, I don't know if you can see in the back, there was an actual beach down here, long space before you reach the buildings. It's gone. I don't even understand. The actual sand is gone. So all this area is what used to be the parking lot. And the beach used to be from here to here, right? But it just gives you an idea of the damage to the level that doesn't even make sense to me, that I can understand how is the sand gone, like the actual beach gone. The ocean is actually hundreds of feet closer. And it's not about the conditions, it's about the stories. And I really could talk for hours of all the stories. So I just chose a few stories that really touched me. This is a cousin of mine. Her name is Norma. And she has been raising her grandchild who's on a wheelchair. He's a handicapped kid. And this is the subdivision where Norma lives. Our river in Añasco, Rio Grande de Añasco, just came up, and homes were 5 feet under river water. So that entire subdivision, which happens to be where she lives also, but very weirdly, some houses didn't get any water, but just a street over, everything gone, right? So I guess the terrain, I don't know. But she has taken in 2 entire families into her 2-bedroom home. And not only does she cook for them every single day, then she brings lunch to her 90-year-old aunt, my aunt. every day. So this is the type of people, like, I just figure, like, you just bring them cash so they can continue to feed the families that lost everything. And now that the shelters are closed, everyone is at someone's house. Like, we don't have people on the streets. There are people like Norma taking 2 entire families until they can actually regroup. This is my niece, Maite. Maite has 4 children. These are her 4 kids. This girl over here actually is a survival of a liver transplant. She actually donated, when she was a baby, her liver failed, and she donated a portion of her liver to her daughter. The water got into their house. They got everything. They saved whatever they could, but they couldn't save the beds. This is the wet mattress where still, when I went to Puerto Rico the last time, she was sleeping on with 2 of her kids, this one and this one. And not only that, her job is a waitress at Chili's, but Chili's didn't open for the first 2 weeks. And when it opened, it didn't have electricity, so they were working on a generator that they could only operate 3 hours a day. She made $38 for the first 5 weeks. That was all she was able to make as a salary, sleeping on a wet mattress that she covered in plastic because she didn't have any other resource, with 2 of her children. And what is beyond frustrating to me, FEMA had a program that anyone under stress will get $500. FEMA, the first round of people that applied, didn't do any, simply gave it, and they ran out of money. When my niece applied, she was denied. And I'm like, you have 4 children, 1 of them liver transplant survivor, you're sleeping on a wet mattress covered in plastic, and you don't qualify for the $500 of FEMA. I don't know how to explain these things. And of the people that I visited around, this was one of my most intense breakdowns, the story of this woman. She and her husband, they've been married over 50 years. Her husband on a wheelchair, and the house is too high in the mountains, so she left during the storm for 2 weeks. When they came back, the roof was gone. They've lost almost everything. You can see the blue tarp covering her roof. Her husband required respiratory therapy, but they don't have electricity and they don't have water. Long story short, he also went into a severe depression, seeing everything. On the 25th of October, he died. So there she is, over 50 years married, at her home by herself, with a dead husband, no water, and no electricity. And we brought groceries for people and water, right? So we gave her some groceries and water, and she's like, oh, but you can't leave without me giving you something. Here, the bananas are growing again. This is from my backyard, here. And we're like, no. And she said, no, I want you to take it. Please take it with you. And I'm like, this is the experience of the trip. Someone that you find and they still won't let you walk out without giving you something. It really is a life-changing experience, what I saw in those trips. What is interesting when I think about her husband's death, who couldn't get electricity, couldn't get respiratory therapy, didn't have water, he wasn't counted. He doesn't count as a Maria death. It's beyond me what the government of Puerto Rico, or I don't even know who to blame for this, but the official toll is 62 deaths, right? And thank God for the New York Times, who have been doing a number of studies using statisticians. When you compare the number of deaths that actually happened in normal September, October, I think they only cover September and October. So from September 20th until October 31st, right? For a number of years. And you see the number of deaths now. There are a number of people like that husband, people that don't have refrigeration for insulin, people that have kidney dialysis, but there is no electricity, so they can't. So the number of actual deaths based on statistician is 1,052. But the government is reporting 62. And it is beyond me, and this is still October 31st. We have not even covered November. So to to get an idea of what happens, and this is today, I just did this slide this morning, 8% of the population are still without water. And so 8% is very low. It's 256,000 people that have not running water right now, 85 days after it hit. And there's 1,184,000 without power, including my sisters, including 3 of my 5 goddaughters, including many of my friends. So it's a crime. 85 days having this number of people in these conditions. And you may or may not understand, it's outrageously hot in Puerto Rico. And all the waters are now a huge wave of mosquitoes. So you're sleeping there without electricity, without AC, the heat, you're sweating. Even though I cover myself in off, like the mosquito, I counted between here and here. I just took a picture. I didn't want to show it to you. But I took a picture. I had 23 bites in this space, right? My last trip, I had a reaction in my legs, like an allergic reaction to these mosquitoes from Orocovis, which I don't know what they are, but they're bionic. And I thought I had to go to the emergency room. My legs were swollen. But this is the conditions that people, I can go for a weekend. People are living this way, right? 85 days of this nature. So if anyone wants to get involved, I'll tell you, my number one suggestion is this superwoman, Mariela Cruz. It's not a 501c3, so it's not tax deductible, but the work that she's doing is unbelievable. The GoFundMe page I created, if you want to donate, I give you my word. This will actually make it to families in need in Puerto Rico. This is some of the people I met. There are people from 3 different churches. There are atheists in this group. There are foundation people. So this group is a mix of anything you can imagine, and none of that matters right now. It doesn't even matter. We're all united for the same goal. There is this project by Amarilis Pagan, and they are actually concentrating on some key towns. Like one of the major projects is Orocovis, one of the center towns that no one is going to. Amarilis and Matria is taking that on. So it's a very specific. This is a 501c3, so if you want to contribute and get a tax deductible donation, I strongly advise for this group, proyectomatria.org. And the churches here in New York are doing an amazing job, and they're going at a higher level with the water filters, things that are much more expensive. If you $15 for a solar lamp, you think, oh, that's not so much. But if you're going to bring 100 of those, it's a lot of money, right? So the churches are doing a good job, and I'm a witness to their work. You can donate online. I want to thank all of you for being here, and all of the people that donated, the people that I've never met, the people that I've known for years that I haven't talked to in years. And I feel it's among all the horrible things of this, Maria, I've seen so much beauty. I've seen so much love that it's just really powerful. So thank you for listening. I'm proud of myself too. These are some of the children we actually gave packages to, and those faces are, the happiness of just getting a little coloring book and candy. It was really great. So I don't know if you have any questions, ask me, or if you, I can answer any. Oh, of course, anyone's, yeah. It was, I ended up having 1,144 pictures, so it was very hard for me to choose, but I figure I gotta but yeah, I'll share the presentation, and I have a lot of other pictures. Okay. And if you have any questions later, just email me, or anything you want to do right now. Like for Saturday, we are adopting a child, so we're committing to pajamas. But if you want to buy a Christmas present or whatever, so there are many things that I can hook you into if you want to, and you don't have to be there. Like I'm sending my pajamas through Amazon Prime, so it's there are a lot of things that if you have something that calls your heart,